The hardest choices require the strongest wills. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. Huge show today. We have our official iPhone Air and 17 Pro Max reviews. We're going to talk about AirPods Pro 3. Jason and I have been using all of those for the past several days. Lots and lots of thoughts. Plus, Apple had some words about the DMA. There might finally be a TikTok deal. Instagram reached 3 billion users, and a ton more. This episode is brought to you by Gusto, Insta360, and you, the members who support us directly. I'm one of your hosts, Steven Robles, stressed out by the number of devices I am trying to review in 1 week. And my friend Jason Ayton also covering all the devices. How it goes, Jason?
It's good. It's good. I was kind of disappointed because I was sure that your movie quote was going to be, "Don't take the Tylenol."
No. I'm staying away. Staying away, not even going there. Do you know what movie this one's from, though? No.
I don't know exactly which one it is, but I know I've heard it in passing, which means it's got to be a Marvel movie because my children watch them constantly. I'm going to go with one of the Avengers movies, maybe like Eternity +1 War -7. I don't know. Which one is it?
It's
got to be an Avengers
movie.
Oh, you see, I've never actually watched Infinity War, but my children have watched it 14 times, and so I've heard all the words at some point. So I couldn't tell you who said it. I couldn't tell you what it means.
We can't even get into that. We can't even talk about it.
Steven, I don't have time. I've got so many devices. I can't watch movies.
No,
what are you talking about?
You have time.
I don't have a movie podcast. I don't have an excuse, and I don't get invited back on your movie podcast anymore.
Well, because we don't do the podcast.
Oh,
we do
okay.
2 episodes a year. Okay, and also you watch a 20-minute. You watch a 20-minute sitcom every night. You can watch Infinity War.
I don't watch a 20-minute sitcom every night. I watched one monologue so I could write 3 articles.
That was a 20-minute monologue. Anyway, okay, we're going to get into all of that. First of all, want to have some 5-star review shout-outs. Plus, September is nearing its end and want to keep pushing the St. Jude and Relay.fm. The fundraising, we're at $1,750, which is amazing. Old Granny gave $100. No, she's Old Granny from the community, and she's she's
electric.
She's electric. And then Paul Myers, Richard Scary, a bunch of people have given. All the names will show up on the bottom if you choose to do that. But let's get there. Let's get there by the end of the month. I know we might not make 5,000, although I'm still holding out hope. I'm saying there's at least one millionaire that probably listens to this show that's just waiting for September 30th. And then they're just going to drop it. But also, you can all just give a few dollars and we can make it. So we're at $1,750. We surpassed last year. That's awesome. And I'm also going to I forgot to put this link in the show notes the day this episode came out. So we didn't get any voicemails last week, but that's on me because I forgot to put the link in there. It's been a busy week. I was traveling. Anyway, leave us a voicemail because we have a lot of thoughts and feelings about iPhone Air, iPhone 17 Pro, AirPods Pro 3. So leave us a voicemail this week. If you have any of those devices, if you have thoughts about them, social media definitely has thoughts about all of them because we're hearing them all. People just cannot not share their thoughts on X and Threads. But we want to hear from you, our listeners. So leave us a voicemail so we can play it on the next show. Now, last show, we also talked about iOS 26, and people had all sorts of different thoughts because some people love it. Some people love the liquid glass. They said, we really like it. So I wanted to shout out Chloe, who wrote us a nice email saying, had to chime in on the liquid glass takes. Personally, I love it. Been using it since the beginning of August in the betas. And they really like it. I asked for a picture of their home screen. So this is user Chloe, and I think hopefully this starts a trend. This is Chloe's home screen. Went with the dark glass icons. No apps on the home screen. That was something I asked via email. I was like, no apps? Like, no. Trying to limit the app usage. And so that's going all the way. That's just nothing.
I mean, yes, if you have no interface elements on your home screen, you can love liquid glass pretty easily.
Oh, my. Jason's
I know. I'm not trolling Chloe. I'm just saying, love the home screen.
Yes.
Also, I'm not sure that it's necessarily the most, representative experience of using liquid glass. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying liquid glass is very divisive. We heard from a lot of people on YouTube comments and on social media. Some people love it. Some people still do not love it. I will say my 2 sons are split down the middle. My middle son loves it. My oldest son hates it. So it's very divisive. And but I will say both of my sons say they don't like the new camera icon. They think Apple did too much because it's like super skeuomorphic now. Like, you see like the lens flares and the reflection in the lens.
No, but I don't have the camera icon on any of my screens, so I haven't.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I've been using the camera button too, but if you go look at the camera icon, it's like intense. It's like this is a real camera lens.
It's fine.
I mean, it's fine. Whoa, I almost dropped my 17 Pro Max.
That's heavy.
Whoops. Anyway,
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But anyway, that's their feelings. And 5-star review shout-outs too. And I wanted to say, if you subscribe to the show, you get an unedited feed, which means you get the pre-show, the post-show, all the things. And we have a bunch of 5-star reviews for people who listen to the unedited show in Apple Podcasts, and also the Daily Show, which comes out Monday through Friday. That's another member benefit. So shout out to Nicholas Bridle, who gave us a 5-star review there. He said, you have to support the show because the unedited feed is the best. And there's a lot of people who say that. So thank you to them. JVols283, 5-star review on the Daily Show. Tizweed, C Barnes 1364, Retired Technologist, and Rousey. Thanks for those 5-star reviews on the Daily Show. And then some 5-star reviews on the main show. Ziggy Zag Zag Zig from Canada. I mean, look, they got the iPhone Air in black 256. So they actually downgraded from a Pro 16 to a 16e to prepare themselves for the single camera lifestyle. That's dedication. And so now they went with the iPhone Air and they love it. So listen, the iPhone Air is up next. We're going to be talking a lot about the iPhone Air. And then we have David 2M2 from the United States said iOS 26 liquid glass is perfect. I'm obsessed with it. Y'all are wrong on this one. Been using it since beta, but 5 stars. Thank you. Thank you, David. That's how you do it. Let us know what you think, but still give us 5 stars. And then finally, I cut off their name. I'm so sorry. But they said the best tech podcast. This is the best tech podcast. It gets even better when you subscribe to the unedited version. Do it today. Very cool. iPhone Air battery percentage off.
That was the review that was left by the person that sent us an email, which maybe we'll talk about in the bonus content.
Oh, David. Okay, yes. We're going to talk about that in the bonus content. Thank you for your email, David. Thank you for that 5-star review. It's very kind. We are going to do a redux on that in the bonus episode. Yeah. All right. iPhone Air. I've been using it full time. Switched to it this past Sunday. It is now Thursday. You had thoughts on it. I have thoughts on it. Give me your thoughts first. Well, first of all, have you been using it as like your main phone for multiple days?
I did not use it as my main phone, but I always carry 2 phones anyway, right? So, but I did use it for most of the things, like especially for about 2 days. As for example, I set it up from my backup, my backup phone's backup, which meant that like it was a little bit more minimalist. But I did go and add everything to it. Like I put my right, because on my previous backup I wasn't using Fantastical, for example, but I did do all that. I think it's great. I mean, I haven't charged it since yesterday. It's still at 53%. Now,
we're going to get into battery.
Okay. But my take on it was that it's delightful. It's delightful to hold. It's delightful to like carry around with you. Using it is mostly fine, right? That's kind of the inverse take of the iPhone Pro, the 17 Pro Max, which we'll get to. For me, however, the battery life is not great. Even though I just said it's 53%, I haven't actually used it since yesterday. So I'm glad that it's holding battery when I'm not doing anything.
Batteries last way longer when you don't use them.
When you just leave them be.
You just don't touch them.
But I think I just would never be able to get past the camera thing. Like the fact that you can't even take 48 megapixel, like the large format, even at the 1X, there's no way to take 48 megapixel images. It only will let you take either 12 or 24. And you can't take RAW, obviously. And that's probably an edge case that most people shouldn't care about. But there are real benefits if the only camera you have is a 1X to taking a 48 megapixel picture. Because guess what you can do? Crop it later. Like, you know what I mean? And so the fact that it has a 48 megapixel sensor but doesn't let you take 48 megapixel pictures, I don't know why, but that does feel like a handicap that I'm like, I just couldn't get over that particular thing. And so I don't know. And I don't care about the fact that obviously you can't take real spatial video and stuff because like you don't have 2 cameras, you don't have 2 lenses. That doesn't matter to me. But so that is the thing that would keep this from being my only phone. I could see using this a lot. And Apple did send me one of the battery packs. So I do have that. And it's like now I have to carry 2 battery packs, which is annoying as heck because I can't put this one on the other phone, the Pro Max. And I could obviously just use but the Anchor battery weighs 3 times as much as this phone.
Okay. I should have been taking notes. I needed to take notes now because
you don't agree with me?
I agree with everything you said. So I switched my SIM to it and used it full time. I left my 17 Pro Max in the box until yesterday because I wanted to use the Air full time as my only phone to see how it's like. And I'm going to give you, and you, Jason, and our listeners a preview because I'm editing my iPhone Air video right now. Look, yeah, there you go. The banks battery in the Air. We're gonna get to the battery, and we're gonna get to the battery. Don't worry. But I'm opening the video with this, and tell me if this feels like accurate to you. I said in the iPhone's history, there have been 3 moments that felt like magic and a leap forward. I talk about, and I broke out my original iPod Touch for this so I could put it in the video. This is 2007 iPod Touch. The slide to unlock. The first time you ever slide to unlock, it felt like magic. I know that seems like a silly thing now, but when the original iPhone and iPod Touch came out, for some reason, it was just kind of a visceral reaction. And then all the multi-touch stuff with the original iPhone, of course. It was that. It was the iPhone 4 with a Retina display. The first time you see a Retina display and you compare it to the 3GS and before it, you're like, this is the future. This is now like, I don't want to see any screen that's less than this. And then I think the third moment was the iPhone 10. The removal of the home button was the huge step. The OLED screen, Face ID, that felt like a leap forward. So I say those 3 moments, basically the original, the 4, and the 10. And of course, there were lots of things in between there, like portrait mode on the camera and whatever, 5G. But I feel like for the user and as my experience, those were like the big moments. And I am now saying the iPhone Air is the 4th moment, where when you hold it for the first time and really use it, you're like, oh, this is different. And you would, if you haven't held it, it seems silly that a thin and light phone would be that big of a difference in experience. But when you use it every day, I use this example in the video. I was walking around my house just a couple days ago. I knew I had my iPhone Air. I didn't know what pocket it was in, and I couldn't tell right away because it's so light. I could not, I just didn't know. I actually had to put my hands and feel like, which pocket did I put it in? And that, using it one-handed, I used this caseless. I'm planning on returning this. I was using it caseless as I went out, did grocery shopping, took pictures with it yesterday, like over concrete. And the security I feel holding it is, I haven't felt that in a long time. I do not feel like I'm going to drop this phone. I don't know if I've felt that since like the iPhone 5 era. Like once we went to like the 6 Plus and later, every phone has felt like I'm on the verge of maybe the slipping out. It, like a fish, it's just going to slip out. But the iPhone Air feels secure. Using it one-handed is so much nicer than with the Pros and the Pro Maxes. And yeah, just that form factor does make a difference. What do you think? How's that take?
As far as, is this the 4th moment, which is an interesting, that would be a video title right there, the 4th moment of the iPhone. So in the article that I wrote, right, my argument was that this thing is delightful, which is true. I think it is delightful to pick up. So I think in some ways that's leaning into the same direction that you're headed, which is Retina screen made the iPhone delightful. The slide unlock was definitely delightful. The form factor of the 10, right, was definitely a delightful thing. I think
and Face ID.
Face ID, but also just the all-screen design is what they called it, right? There was no chin and there was no forehead to it, right?
Right.
So that kind of thing is pretty. I would not put it on the same scale, but I would say things like the dynamic island is delightful, right? Like those are things that Apple is really good at. And the form factor of the Air is definitely delightful. I think that it is Apple's sort of making a claim to what it thinks is the future, right? And the question is the fact that it's this delightful and like pointing at the future, is that enough at this point? And I don't know right now that it is the phone. I don't know that it's the phone that most people should buy, even as much fun as it is. And the reason I say that is this phone's $200 cheaper, right? And it's
Yeah.
better in most ways. And also, it's pretty light. This is the iPhone 17. I haven't even reviewed it yet because I haven't taken the. There we go.
He just undid it. He did it live on camera. He just took the little static thing off.
I should have done it slower and held it close to the mic. I'm really sorry
No,
for
it's fine.
making this an ASMR podcast.
We're working on being a YouTuber. We just cheesed for the camera before we recorded so I can get a thumbnail.
He's got to tell me these things. But anyway, this phone is so good and the cameras are better and the battery life is so good that I think that in many ways it's kind of confusing right now, but we'll know a lot more next year. There's a lot of people like maybe they're only going to make the Air once. I don't think they're only going to make the Air once.
No.
Is it possible that this is one half of the folding phone, which seems to be a pretty common take? And I sort of talked about it like, yeah, this is like if you were going to make, but I don't, my point was if this is one half of a folding phone, that's great that you were able to make it. You didn't have to sell it. There's got to be a different reason to sell it, right?
Right.
Making it in what used to be Johnny Ive's studio is different, right, than selling this thing into the world. By the way, I would love to know what Johnny Ive thinks about this phone. Man, that would be an interview.
Two things. I've been listening to that Apple in China book, and I think I said this on the last episode, but just hearing those early days of Johnny Ive versus the engineering team and Steve Jobs is fascinating. Two, I was watching the old videos of because I pulled some clips of the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 10 launch event. And man, number one, Apple needs to go back to live events. I'm just saying that full stop. Watching Phil Schiller talk about the iPhone 10, and then Craig Federighi actually did the demo of the iPhone 10 during that event, talking about swiping up to go home and how that's magical or whatever. They need to go back to live events. But but
they won't, just to be clear. They're never going back. But go on. We can talk about that.
I'm holding out hope. And even the iPhone 4, Bob Mansfield talked about the Retina screen in that event. And it was just really cool to see those live events again. I think while the iPhone 17 is a better phone on paper, as is the Pro Max, the iPhone Air just has that X factor. Not the iPhone 10 factor, but like the X factor of like holding this. It does feel like the iPhone is delightful again, like you're saying. I think that is the correct take. And so it's so much fun to use. And basically my video thesis then is this could be your phone if you can get over the three hurdles. One is the speaker, which, whatever. I use AirPods.
Nobody cares. No, that's not a thing. That's not a real thing.
I wouldn't say nobody cares because I have found myself listening to podcasts out of my phone speaker sometimes. But the iPhone Air one is fine for that. If you just listen to podcasts.
I want to just establish a rule.
Yes.
And I think we should. There's a lot of things that we can't agree on. I mean, you and I, Stephen, agree on a lot of things, even though it sounds like we don't. That's just why I'm here. The show would be really boring if we just were like, check.
Yep, you're right. Yep.
Okay, so I'm doing my best. But I think we can all agree on this. No one should ever listen to anything out of the speakers on their iPhone. You should not be listening to videos. You should not be, unless it's like someone texted you a video and you're just watching it really quickly. That is maybe the only exception. You should not be watching Disney Plus without headphones or Apple TV Plus without headphones. You should not be making phone calls with FaceTime without headphones. You should not be listening to music or podcasts without headphones. The speakers on your iPhone, I wish they would just take them off because it is just a plague on society, Stephen.
Well, okay.
Admit it.
I agree. As soon as you step out your front door, 100% agree on all of that. You should never listen to anything out of the speaker of your phone as soon as you leave your house.
Also, if you live in my house and I'm there, you shouldn't do it either. But other
that's fine for you. I'm saying there's sometimes moments, maybe you're getting ready in the morning and you put your phone on the bathroom counter and you just want to listen to a few minutes of a podcast while you get ready. If you play something out of your phone and you don't want to put something in your ears and you're not disturbing anybody else, that might be a situation. Sometimes when I go out on my back patio, there's no one around. I want to listen to a few minutes of a podcast while I do Wordle. I'll just play something out of my phone speaker. So, and I think a lot of people do that. I think Marco Arment, he talks about the stats for Overcast, and he says a lot of people, I don't know if it's what the percentage is, a lot of people just listen out of the speaker of their iPhone to podcasts. And so people do it, whether you should or not. Again, like never in public. But the iPhone Air speaker is then fine for that. Especially if you're just listening to podcasts.
Right.
It's just people speaking. You don't have to worry about audio quality. And if you listen to music or a video, yeah, it's going to sound a little tinny. I don't think it's a big hurdle for people to cross. But the two bigger hurdles are the camera and the battery life. So when it comes to the camera, I posted this on Threads and X, a couple days, yesterday maybe, you can find out how much you use the telephoto and ultra-wide lenses if you currently have a Pro or Pro Max phone. And so if you have to do this on a Mac, you can't create a smart album on your iPhone. But you can create a new smart album, add these criteria, focal length is, and these are a little weird because the focal lengths that Photos sees from the telephoto and ultra-wide lenses is not like what Apple says the equivalent is. So the numbers are a little funny. But if you put 2.2 millimeters as focal length is, and 15.66 millimeters, say match any of those conditions, that is going to pull all of your ultra-wide and telephoto photos and videos from, or just photos, excuse me, I think, from the 16 Pro and Pro Max and the 15 Pro and Pro Max. Once you go back to the iPhone 14 Pro and earlier, those focal lengths are different, so you'd have to add different numbers. But that will at least give you like the last 2 years, if you were on the newer phones, how many photos you take with those. I took over 1,000. You took even more. How many did you say you got?
8,600.
That's a lot of photos, Jason.
Well, here's the thing, and this is actually the point that I would make about the cameras. I take a lot of photos at things like cross-country meets, soccer games.
Right.
I'm out and about, and I'm taking, and also like, this is going to sound like whatever, but I'm like a photographer. I made a living as a photographer. Right. I kind of know how to use and when to use. I remember there was a time I posted some pictures that I took with the iPhone, and you're like, dude, how did you get those? I'm like, just use the 2X lens. Like, it'll give you better depth of field, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
I know how to use it, so I do use it much, much more liberally than probably most people do, because I know when to use it and how to use it. And so, 8,600, like, I actually thought it would be more. And that was actually, just to be clear, that was just telephoto, because I did this a while ago, and so it didn't even include the couple hundred I had taken with the 17 Pro Max, because it has a different focal length or whatever.
Right.
I wish you could just say is more than, right? Is greater than.
Right. But this would I guess if you had a camera that somehow reads as that millimeter focal length, but I don't think you would. I mean,
no, but you can choose in the list. Like, so I have some photos that are in here that are actually taken with my SLR, because for whatever reason I wanted to share them or post them on social media. So the easiest way to do that is to dump them in your photos library, and then you can get them on your iPhone. So I do, and like, it'll say like Nikon 70-200 or whatever.
Right,
like, I didn't include any of those.
Right. So that's a lot of photos, and seeing that and seeing what photos they are, I think is important, because those photos for me are when we're traveling or on vacation as a family. I use the telephoto a lot. And when we go to the beach, use the telephoto a lot. When I was at WWDC, I realized every photo I took of the screen while I was back in the media section was from the 5X camera. And so it's like, well, if I go again, I want that lens, because that was really important for that. And so then yesterday, I went on a little photo walk, because I wanted to see like what, hold on, let me move this battery tab over. What is it like using the iPhone Air and just the one camera versus the Pro Max? And I'm going to include this in the video, but I went to a place called the Oxford Exchange in Tampa, and so they have this stairwell. I don't know if you could see Teddy Roosevelt in that list, in that line of pictures or whatever, but this is the 1X camera. This is basically the same picture you get on the 17 Pro Max and the iPhone Air with the 1X. This is now the iPhone Air zoomed in at like 10X, which, like, it's fine, but you could tell this thing is like crunching, it's processing, like computational photography is like doing a lot. And then here's like the 4X from the 17 Pro Max. And it's a significant difference. And I think even more so when you get to like video quality and stuff like that. And then I took a photo of the iPhone Air with my 4X lens. Now I have too many photos and I don't know where I put it, but it just looks great. And the videos. So I was out there on the Tampa Canal, and I was taking videos of these boats going by, and it's obviously you can't tell, but like, this is the 4X lens video, and it looks so good. And when you try to do the digital zoom on the iPhone Air, especially for video, it is so night and day. And again, if that's not your use case, and had some people like in that thread say, oh, I only actually had like 86 results when I filter by those lenses. That's less than I thought. Like, if that's the case, fine. But it was clear to me that it's important to me to have those two lenses. And there are even moments when it's like you're standing in front of something, maybe it's a landmark, maybe it's a statue or whatever, and you want that ultra-wide shot. And I had many photos in that filter where it's like, this was an ultra-wide shot, but it was just because I was standing close to something and I couldn't move back or whatever. Like, that was important to me too. So the camera, it very much depends on your use case, but for me, I could tell very quickly like that it ain't it. I can't do it. And also that 4X lens, it looks great even if you're just doing like close-up style photos. So like this was a photo I took in the Oxford Exchange. This is a photo of the iPhone Air with the 17 Pro Max's 4X lens, Pro RAW, which I also love. I wish you could do Pro RAW on the iPhone Air because I think you might have more options. You can't do Pro RAW on the iPhone Air. You can use apps like Halide, but it's not the same as the Pro RAW that you get on the Max. And like it was just fun. Like, it's fun to take photos with the Pro Max. And so that kind of sealed the deal for me. But what's been your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, the same. The photo thing is just, it does a good job. And maybe for a lot of people, if what you're just going to do is take a quick shot of something that's happening, that's great. But it is hard to not know what you know, which means like, it's hard for me to not overthink photos. Like I'm going to just be like, I'm always thinking like, how do I maximize this? What's the right framing? How do I catch the right light? And if the camera on the phone will not let me do those types of things, and I don't mean change settings, I mean like, does it perform the way I expect it to do given any kind of lighting conditions? And consistently the Pros and even the base iPhone 17 for the most part do that. But the iPhone Air just, I feel like it is really designed for people who photography is not let me rephrase that. Rear camera photography is not a priority. Selfie camera photography, totally different story. Right?
Selfie camera is great.
And maybe that's what they know. Like, the people who are going to buy the iPhone Air are the people who are going to take selfies of themselves in groups with iPhone Airs in their hands. I don't know. Like, maybe that's the case. For me, though, I don't think I could commit to using it full time on a regular basis because of that. Because I pull like yesterday I was at a soccer game and I used my youngest kid at a soccer game. My wife wasn't able to be there because we have 3 children and they all do things. I mean, we have 4 children, 3 other children who are all doing things. I just want to be clear.
Send that to your family.
Just want to be clear.
I have 3 kids. Who's left out?
You guys can decide. It doesn't matter. It's Survivor. Just you get to vote. So like she's not there and he was starting in goalie and I was sitting at the literal opposite end of the field and I was able to send her a picture of him standing in the goal and it's a good picture. Like, it worked. It worked great. So
that's the thing. So that's the big second hurdle. And finally, battery. And I will just say, people have been so mad about the iPhone battery. All I've been trying to do is report my experience on social media. And there's so many people like, well, how could you expect you're using an iPhone Air like you're a heavy user? It's like, well, listen, if you're going to buy a phone to use the phone, you should be able to use the phone. And then I have other people saying like, well, you got to turn off background app refresh. You should be doing low power mode at 75%. And I'm like, okay.
That seems like a lot of work just to use a phone.
Well, that's the thing. If you buy a phone to use the phone, like ProMotion, Apple touted that as a big feature. A lot of people were saying like, well, it doesn't perform well on cellular, so you got to keep it on Wi-Fi most of the day. And I'm like, who are you people? Like, why are we making so many excuses for this battery? Can we just report what the battery is?
Yeah, can we also just agree that more battery is better? And like, it doesn't really matter what the reasoning is, and I shouldn't also have to change. I should only change settings if I just want to.
Well, yeah, that, and then a lot of people were like, well, if you start it fresh, like not from a backup, you get better battery life. It's like, okay, even if true.
That's witchcraft. I don't even think that's true.
I don't think that's true, but also, that's not what 99% of normal people are going to do. If they buy it in an Apple store or even at a carrier, they'll be like, yeah, let's just transfer your stuff. That's going to be 99% of people. And so if that's for some reason affects the battery life that significantly, then most people who buy the iPhone Air are going to experience that. And it would be even more indicative to say it. So I really love the phone too. I'm not trying to say that the battery life makes this a terrible phone or that no one should buy it, but it's a point of information that you have to actually take into consideration if you're going to make this your main phone. And all I'm saying is, if you are the lightest user, like you check your email once a day, you don't use social media, and maybe you take 3 photos on your lunch break, if you are a light user, iPhone Air might be great and you'll make it through the day. But if you are a medium to heavy user, like maybe you're scrolling collectively in a day, 45 minutes on Instagram Reels, and you're also going to play a little game on your lunch break, and maybe you just want to look at your phone to read an article, you might struggle depending on your usage. And so I was just trying to report my experience, and people got so mad. But basically what happened was day one, and people were like, well, it's indexing on day one. Okay, sure, whatever. Well, day one, it went from 100% to 10% in 6 hours. I had about 2.5 hours of screen on time. I was using it. That's 6 hours. I attached the MagSafe battery. It brought it up to 57%. And then the phone died at 10:22 p.m. Which, listen, with the Air MagSafe battery, I made it through the day. Fine. Day two, I got to about 17% at 5:25, 3.5 hours of screen time. Would I have made it the rest of the day? Maybe, depending on your usage, but you're going to be in low power mode. Day three, same thing. It died at about 7:30 p.m. I was taking some photos and a couple videos while I was on the photo walk, not like, 30-minute videos. It was just like 1 and 2 minute clips. But if you use the phone, the battery's going to drain. And all I'm saying is if you're going iPhone Air and you're a medium to heavy user, which if you watch and listen to this podcast, you're probably in more closer to that side than just a really light user, you're just going to have to think about battery. And all I'm saying is if you go Pro Max or even Pro this year, you probably won't have to think about battery. Like you could take your phone off the charger in the morning, and unless you're like filming 1 hour of log footage, you're not going to have to even think about the battery. If you go iPhone Air, it's just something you're going to have to think about. You're going to have to make sure you charge it in the car while you're driving to work. You might have to throw it on a charger at your desk. You're going to have to keep the MagSafe battery around. It's super thin. It's super light. Or you can get the battery packs like I talk about, which are 3 and 4 times the thickness of the iPhone Air, which is insane. This is the Ugreen 25 watt Qi 2.2 one. I mean, that's like 4 iPhone Airs, but you can do that. It's fine. You just have to think about it. So I don't know. What has been your experience?
Yeah, I just think that it's a delightful phone with a lot of trade-offs and drawbacks, which is true of every product, and that's fine. I don't know that Apple made the wrong trade-offs because I don't think you can make this phone with more battery, right? Maybe they could have made it with better camera, but like whatever. I think that as a first version of it, it's an interesting experiment, and I hope they keep going.
Yeah.
I just think it's like I am torn because I'd love to just use it. There's just no way. But I mean, that doesn't mean I think we're going to talk about it. That doesn't mean I think that this phone is perfect. Like,
right.
There's some
That's
things
the Pro
about
Max, in case you're listening. Yeah.
By the way, sorry. They probably just held up a Pro Max. By the way, getting a little bit of scratches going on. Just,
okay. All right. We got it. Anyway, any final, listen, all I'm saying is the iPhone Air, when you hold it and use it, it is delightful.
But yeah, let me say something about that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Every single person I've handed it to says, wow.
Right.
Everybody, without fail, I hand that phone to somebody and they're just like, wow. And the thought is, and this is what I said, Stephen, I can't believe we got this far. You have to let me share my Threads post on this.
Yeah,
I called it the most impressive iPhone that I've ever used from Apple. And that thread post, I posted 2 pictures of it. I don't know.
Yes.
Has 1.7 million views, Stephen. This is why I couldn't use it anymore. I'm so mad about my notifications on Threads. I don't have that many Threads followers. Like, just to be clear, like a couple hundred, like 700 or 800 or what, 600 or 700 or whatever. But that post blew up because people have all kinds of feelings about the Air, which I just don't even understand how that's even possible that there's that many people.
These people don't have it. No, they don't have it.
So you can't see the view count in that. I'll send you a screenshot so that people know that I'm not lying about this. But like it was bonkers to me how strongly people feel about this thing. And basically what I was saying is that like I think that this phone is fantastic, right? It's super, super impressive. And people are like, wait, you don't like the phone, but you called it impressive? Like that, what's wrong with you? Are you like a crazy person? Which is, yes, probably. But the point I'm making is it's impressive in the, wow, I don't know how this exists. Like that's the kind of impressive. And every single person I handed it to has that same feeling. Like, I don't know how this exists. The next part of that, though, is I also am still not sure why it exists, right? Like, I think that's a reasonable take.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I'm understanding why it exists. I mean, if there were no trade-offs, like if we lived in a world where I didn't have to think about battery and some magic way the one camera gave me 3 cameras, I would use this as my main phone. The screen size is perfect for me. I actually feel like I prefer this over the Pro Max screen size, but I prefer this over the Pro too. I want this size screen. Like, this is actually ideal for me. I like using this one-handed. I would go caseless. Like, this would be my phone if there were no trade-offs. Now, that world doesn't exist yet, but like you're saying, like that, this is a proof of concept that you can have a really thin phone. There are real-life benefits, and this is where we go one day. And it's like maybe the Vision Pro, where the Vision Pro is very impressive. And when someone watches immersive content for the first time, it's a little mind-blowing. But I still haven't even updated mine to Vision OS 26. I haven't taken it out of the case to do it because, well, I'm not going to, there's, I guess, more immersive content that just launched and I want to watch it. But something can be super impressive, can be fascinating, it can be a joy, delightful, all of those things, but still not be right for most people yet.
Yes, it's and like we can still enjoy it. We can still be like, it's not right for most people, but we have the luxury of being able to play with it and be like, this is really cool.
Yeah, and it totally is. I'm going to say this in my video, I like how this looks too more than the Pros.
Absolutely.
This looks better. The sides, I like the shiny titanium sides, all of that. And so this is a nicer phone. And I make this comparison too, and then we'll go to the Pro Max. If you thought of the iPhones as like rocks, the iPhone Air is like the diamond or the pearl. Like, it is very pretty to look at. It is, an attractive stone, not something you want to build a house with. And if you look at the Pro Max, both literally and figuratively, it is a brick. It is a brick of a phone. And it is utilitarian. It is, just a stark piece of aluminum now. And I think it's, I did this on my live stream. It's really hard to get it out of cases now. And I realized it might be because of the unibody. Because the way I would take phones out of cases, you kind of push the phone through the case and peel it off the corners. And it's really hard to get cases off the 17 Pro Max. And I wonder if it's because of that. It has less give, like it bends less than past iPhones. But anyway, this is a brick. And it's not as fun to look at. But if this is the kind of stone you want, like that's. But anyway.
So last thing on the Air before we move on, you just mentioned cases. You don't like the bumper case.
It's plasticky.
Did you try one of the clear cases? Did you get one of those? Okay.
No, I didn't.
The bumper case is fine though. It's the only downside to the bumper case is that it makes the phone feel even thinner because it exceeds you know what I mean? So you're holding it and you're like, this is like a piece of paper in between. It's a very strange experience using the bumper case because it's like, it is way more grippy in the hand if you have the bumper case. Even though it's like a harder plastic, there's a lot more friction on it than those titanium rails, which
and there's more texture. Like, it's like bumpy and you got the,
and it's not like, and to be clear, it's like a matte finish. So it's not like a super textured thing like the Tech Woven or whatever, but it is. But you made a video and you put all kinds of cases on this thing, and I gotta be honest.
I put one case. This one,
you had a pile of cases.
That was on the 17 Pro Max.
Whatever, you still had a pile of cases. But I just want to say, don't buy this if you're going to put it in a case.
This is what I'm saying. Like, Ryan London makes great leather cases. I'm going to do a leather case review soon on the channel. This looks great. I would not put the iPhone Air in a case. One, because it doesn't look as good. But two, and even not just for other people. Like, I like looking at it just raw, without a case. But also, it's so thin and light. Like, again, it's one of the first ones since the iPhone 5 that I don't feel close to dropping all the time. And I think you would feel that too. But anyway, all right, we got to talk about the Pro Max for a little bit. Before we do, I want to thank two friends. The first one is new. This is a new sponsor on the show. Jason has actually interviewed someone from this company. And so, they're the real deal. This is Gusto. Now, if you've worked at companies or maybe you run a company, you're probably familiar with HR software and all the things that go into that. And a lot of times it could be not great. They're not usually technology forward or well designed. Well, that's not the case with Gusto. Gusto is the way to go if you need payroll and HR tasks for your company. And let's be real, no one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings. Maybe Jason does, but most people don't.
No. I just want to be clear real quick.
Just jump in for that. That's where Gusto comes in. Take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on why you started your business in the first place. And we'll shout out, I know we have actually a lot of small business owners who listen to this show. Shout out to all of you. You wear a million hats, but you still show up for the team. But Gusto can help take some of that load off, especially when it comes to payroll. You know your business inside and out. Gusto knows payroll, compliance, and benefits just as well, so you don't have to. Gusto is online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use, so you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. Automatic payroll tax filing, simple direct deposits, health benefits, commuter benefits, workers' comp, 401k, you name it. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, no hidden fees, no surprises. You can get direct access to certified HR experts to help you through any tough HR situation. And it's quick and simple to switch to Gusto. Just transfer your existing data to get up and running fast. Plus, you don't pay a cent until you run your first payroll. It's #1 payroll software according to G2 for fall 2025 and trusted by over 400,000 small businesses. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/primary and get 3 months for free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/primary. One more time, gusto.com/primary. Super fun. I'm glad we have a sponsor like this. I think it could help out a lot of small business owners out there. So our thanks to Gusto for sponsoring this episode and our friends at Insta360 and their new Insta360 Go Ultra camera. I've been seeing lots of videos on this camera on YouTube using it. I think one of the coolest features is it's magnetic, so you can throw it on a fridge and you want to do some cooking videos or maybe on a bike or wherever. But this recently launched. It's the size of an Oreo, weighing just 53 grams. That might be lighter than the iPhone Air. No, probably not.
Close. It's probably the same weight as the bumper case. I'm just kidding.
Yes, exactly. But it's small enough to live in your pocket, but powerful enough to shoot super smooth 4K 60 frame per second video. It has that magnetic mounting system, or you can clip the camera to your clothing or hat for effortless POV shots, running, cycling, moments with your family and friends, or snap it to any magnetic surface like street signs, electric poles, to gym equipment, or bike frames, all of that. Has an upgraded 1 to 1.28 inch sensor. Camera delivers incredible shots day and night. IPX8 waterproof up to 33 feet. And next-gen stacked polymer battery delivers an ultra-long runtime and super fast charging. And the standalone camera itself offers a 70-minute runtime. With the Action Pod, it adds up to 200 minutes. And that will fast charge from 0 to 80% in just 12 minutes. So you can bag a grab of free sticky tabs to help you mount the camera everywhere, from winter down jackets to outdoor jackets to backpacks. We are getting into the winter. We don't know about that here in Florida, but Jason does, because up in Michigan they actually have seasons. But you can get your Insta360 Go Ultra purchase. Head to store.insta360.com and use the promo code PRIMARY. Available for the first 30 purchases only this week. For more information, be sure to check out that link down in the show notes. But go to store.insta360.com, use promo code PRIMARY, and grab the Insta360 Go Ultra. Our thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this episode. All right, it's time to talk. I don't even know if we'll get to AirPods Pro 3. We got so much other stuff. But the Pro Max, I'm on my second day of using it full time. And I will just say, yesterday being my first day, restoring from a backup and using it a lot, I ended the day with like 60% battery.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well,
Done.
We don't have to spend a lot of time on this because we have a lot of stuff. But I don't know why people debate how you should set up an iPhone, right? I just think set it up with the backup and let it download the stuff, right? There isn't a faster-ish option. In fact, in my experience, that's always been faster than trying to do device-to-device transfer, right? And
really?
Always. It doesn't do everything faster, but it does all the things I want to have done faster. And as the apps, you can just go to your home screen and just tap on the things and go prioritize download, and your first home screen will be done first. And you should only be putting apps on the first home screen that you need to use that day, right? Like, yes, it's a pretty easy thing. And if you come across something you need to have, and it's like, oh, it hasn't downloaded yet, you just long press on it, tap prioritize download, and about less than a minute later you can do it. Like, I don't know. I'm sure that it takes longer to do some things. My experience has been like, that's the only way you should do it, unless you're going to set it up from zero. And then you got to go through the App Store and just tap download to all the things. So why not just do that in the first place?
Well, the reason I feel like device-to-device transfer it keeps me logged into more apps, not having to re-sign in. And iCloud passwords, it makes that easy, but that's why I do device to device. And it's been pretty quick for me. Like, I did it from my iPhone Air to my 17 Pro Max, and it took about 30 minutes. And it's allowed to download some apps anyway, so.
You can't use either phone during that time.
That is the thing. You can't use either phone. And there was a moment where, like, I think I had to sign into Okta or whatever, and I was like, oh, shoot. I can't. I just got to wait here. But I would just say, after using the iPhone Air for 3 to 4 days, using the 17 Pro Max, it is like an adjustment to the size. It is now like, you definitely know what pocket you have this phone in. No question there. But I will say, the aluminum and the rounded corners, I think, makes this nicer to hold than the 16 Pro Max without a case. And I think this might be, I say this a lot, and I literally have a case that I'm like promoting because Ondar made a hunter green leather case just for me. But I might go caseless this year because I do find I used it all day yesterday, taking photos in multiple places, and I didn't feel like I was going to drop it. It does feel larger when you put a case on it, weirdly. Like, the difference between the 16 Pro Max with and without a case, the 17 feels like it has a bigger difference with and without a case. And so I think I'm going may go no case. And it is a utilitarian design. Like, listen, this is a brick. I don't think I actually prefer this look to the 16 Pro Max. I feel like, just aesthetically, if there's one that I want to look at, like, here, remember the 16 Pro Max? Not that old. I think this just looks nicer than this. But this does, like, the look and the feel, this feels like I'm doing stuff. I'm working with this thing. This is a tool. And I think that if your mindset is that your phone is a tool for whatever you do, whether that's communicating via email and Slack, whether it's taking photos and video, whether it's using specific apps that, allow you to do work. If you do work and you think of your iPhone as a tool, I think the Pro Max and Pro have become more tool-like this year and lend itself more to thinking of it and using it that way. And then that leaves room for the iPhone Air to be the pearl of the bunch that is less of a tool and more of just like a nice thing to hold and use. But I don't dislike it. But let me know. What do you think?
I think that, okay, so this was the dichotomy, and this is apparently what got me in trouble online, is that I feel like the iPhone Air was just a delight to hold, a delight to carry around, but there was some real drawbacks to using it, right? It's still an iPhone, so for the most part, it's fine, but like, I didn't love using it because you do have to think about things like the battery and the number of times in a given day that I am hitting that camera control button to just take a picture of something quickly. I didn't like it because it didn't have the options for the camera. But the flip side of that is the 17 Pro Max is like a joy to use. The screen is gorgeous and it's big, and the camera system is like the best you can possibly get. All of the things about it, in my mind, were just, I loved using it. But I don't want to carry it in my hand. It's like, it's so big. Now, in fairness, this is the device that I was sent to review. If I buy one, would buy the Pro, not the Pro Max. Now,
really,
the interesting thing about that is then the one thing I really love about this was just the giant screen I would lose out on. You know what I mean?
So wait a minute. So you have not bought one for yourself yet?
Correct. Well, yeah, I cannot have that many phones. They sent me 3 of them to review. I cannot have I did this every year, Steven. I would buy a phone and then Apple would send me basically the same phone to review. And it's like, I can't do phones like that. I'm going to just wait and buy one after I've made a decision. I'm going to buy a Pro Max. Like, there's no question. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to buy a 17 Pro.
Wait, so are you going to get the Pro or Pro Max?
The Pro. I'm not going to get the Pro Max. It's too
and that's different, right? You've been on the Pro Max.
Nope. I was on the 15 Pro Max, but I was on the 16 Pro.
Really?
Yeah. It's probably, if only we had a podcast where we talked about those sort of things, you
Listen,
probably would know that. But
we've talked about 8 phones already. We went from the original to the 4 to the 10. Anyway.
I know, I'm just kidding. So I think, so that's like the contrast between the joy of using it with that size screen and with just its capabilities and all of that, contrasted with the brutalness of it, like the form factor and that kind of stuff, which I completely understand is necessary to do all of those things. So like, I think the trade-off is worth it. I just was noticing like there is a start. I feel like this year there is a starker contrast in those types of things with the Pro, especially the Pro Max phone. And we've been introduced to that contrast in opposite with the iPhone Air, which is the iPhone Air is the best phone I've ever held in my hand for that particular purpose or carried around with me. I think it was on the Verge cast where David Pierce was asking Allison Johnson, like, is this the first iPhone you have to worry about sliding into your couch cushions because it's so skinny, meaning the Air, right? Like, so, but it is great. And then, but using it, there are drawbacks. And I wouldn't say I hate using the Air. I hate that I don't have the cameras. Like, that's about. Whereas, so on the Pro Max, I love this phone. I do just want to say it's a good orange. I don't love orange. And I told Steven when they announced orange, I'm like, that's 100% the phone they're going to send me is an orange iPhone.
Oh, absolutely.
And they did. And I'm thankful that they sent me a review unit. That I'm not complaining about that. But the number of times you're like, oh, that's the new iPhone. I'm not the kind of person that wants people to say, oh, you have the new iPhone.
So I got my wife a 17 Pro. And I was trying to ascertain what color she would want before the pre-orders a couple weeks ago. And so I was showing her the colors, and I was like, and she wanted the Pro because she wanted the better camera system. Because she had a 15 for the last 2 years, just the regular 15. And she was like, I think I want that telephoto lens. Totally get it. And so I showed her the 3 colors, the silver, the deep blue, and the orange. And so I was like, well, what do you think of the silver? She was like, meh. She was like, what do you think of the deep blue? Eh. It's like, what do you think of the orange? She's like, well, at least it's something to look at. It's like, sure. And so she went with the 17 Pro orange. I got her the blue tech woven case, which she actually likes. And, it's fine. And it is something to look at. It's nice. It's nice to see. So what I will say, and I posted these photos when I first set up the Pro Max, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, it's thick, it's heavy. And I, like you just said, actually, it's like a brute. Like that is the word I feel like that evokes, or that's what this phone evokes. Like it's a brutish phone. Et tu brute? That's a different kind of brute. But anyway, my son just watched Julius Caesar with Marlon Brando for school. And just have that in my mind. But it is also like beautiful in its own way. Like I still don't know how I feel about the aluminum as far as like aesthetically. Obviously, I think the titanium and stainless steel before it looked nicer. But again, if you think of this as a tool, I think that makes it even more tool-like. The aluminum and the unibody, the camera system that just looks... I mean, the camera bar, it's just like, I get, okay, if we're going this direction, fine. But, I think the camera system looked better before. But it is a great tool. And once I started using this full time, like yesterday, I was like, oh, yeah, I like the big old screen at the camera system. Battery, like I don't even have to look at the battery icon. It doesn't even have the percentage in it, as you should not. But I don't even have to look at it because I know like this, and this battery is crazy. Even the day that it was the first day it was indexing and it was downloading stuff, still 60% at like midnight after a full day of use. And so I like it. I do like it.
Yeah, it's a great phone. It's silly to say, but it's obviously the best phone Apple's ever made.
Sure.
Right? Like it should be. It'd be
it's
really
the fastest,
lame if it's
cameras.
like.
Yeah.
Although, did you hear the thing that like people are like buying up 13 Pro Maxes or something like that because apparently there's some TikTok thing that says that was the best. I don't know. We don't have time to get into that. But if you know about it, readers, you can send me an email. The other guy at primarytech.fm. I'd be happy to explore this more because maybe I should know more about it. Go ahead.
But no, the last thing I'll say, I will after holding the Pro Max just for a few seconds, I reach over and I lift the iPhone Air. It's like, man, I thought I would make this my main phone this year. I really did, but it's just not the trade-offs I can do. So anyway, did you get AirPods Pro 3?
Yes, and they're amazing, and I love them, and they're great. They're super great.
Okay, same. I released this video yesterday.
I watched the whole thing.
Oh, thank you very much. I really like them. I find the noise canceling to be significantly improved. I find, Jason's holding them up too. I find the sound quality, I think, is improved. And the, I tested live translation. Like, they're a great upgrade. Oh, and the ear tips, they actually fit and they don't fall out for me. And Comply actually did reach out and said they're making tips for the AirPods Pro 3 if you want to get the foam tips. I'm going to try them. But the tips that actually come with them are secure, they're comfortable, they stay in my ear, and I think they make a great seal, which also makes for a great noise canceling and sound experience. But there are a couple of YouTubers, Dave2D and Linus, they said they actually don't like how they sound, and they prefer the AirPods Pro 2 sound over the 3s, which I don't understand. I guess one of them even said it sounded tinny, which I'm like...
I think they're talking about the transparency mode, because I would agree that transparency mode does sound kind of weird in these compared to the 2s. It feels like they've tried to make it a little bit brighter, or like it almost feels like more transparent, but it sounds like artificially transparent, which I don't think is a thing. So, well, I mean, technically it is artificially transparent. It sounds more artificially transparent.
And I have found they feel more aggressive on the conversation awareness. And a new feature, I think this goes to the Pro 2s as well, is that if you start talking, it will pause what you're listening to and turn on transparency mode. And it has felt very aggressive. Like I've been just sitting and I clear my throat and the AirPods are like, hey, it sounds like you're about to say something. Hold on. Let me pause everything. I'm like, well, calm down. Okay. Can we I wish I could tweak the intensity of conversation awareness. And once it hits that, like, oh, someone's talking or you're talking, the sound drastically changes. And I even had the experience where one AirPod Pro 3 will like switch to transparency and then it takes the other one a second. That's probably software that could be improved. But if you turn off all those, like if you turn off conversation awareness and volume adjustments, which is another setting where it will adjust the volume automatically depending on your quote unquote environment, turn all that off and they sound incredible. I think they sound better than the AirPods Pro 2. So that's what I think their experience was.
Well, and I think, yeah, I think that it's weird if you're like listening to a podcast and you in your AirPods Pro 3 and you want to yell at the person because you disagree with what they said and all of a sudden it pauses and you're like, no, I need to hear the rest of their stupid thoughts so I can yell back at it. It's like you start talking and all of a sudden it stops and it's like, no, you should keep playing the podcast. That's fine. But I think the only thing I didn't like, and this again is a little bit less of an AirPods Pro 3 thing and more of a, I guess, iOS 26 thing, but it relates to it, is they changed the default behavior when you squeeze the stem. It should have been. It used to be you can still set it, and I had it set that if I squeeze either of the stems, it goes between the mode, right? Transparency, noise canceling, whatever. Now they had it. The default was if you squeeze like the right one, it did that, but if you squeeze the left one, it just engages Siri. And I'm like, never. I never want you to do that. I've already explained this to you, and I set my default. And that's not the only place that they did that this year. They changed some other default behaviors. It's like, why is this doing this? Why are you forcing this on me? Like, stop.
Yeah. And I also, and I struggled with this at first too, is like adjusting volume on AirPods Pro. It is weird because to adjust the volume, you have to swipe up and down the stem, but it's not just like an easy swipe. You kind of have to like pinch and swipe. And some people were struggling that with the AirPods Pro 3. I mean, I have it now pretty consistently, but yeah, a lot of that default behavior, I feel like they need to tweak that. And I wish they could tweak the intensity of the conversation awareness.
I just wish that if you've set a default, they never change it on you without you wanting to change it. It's like, because I just don't like the idea that it's like, I've dialed something in and now you're going to make me dial it in again.
Right. Yeah. I don't like that. Did you try live translation at all?
No, I thought about sitting down watching a soccer game with the Spanish channel or something like that, but I have not done it yet.
So I did it for the video, and I watched a Netflix movie that was in Spanish, and then I watched a YouTube video from a channel, Supra Tech. The movie and Netflix, it's a pretty cool experience. So you tap and hold both AirPods Pro at the same time, and this works with AirPods Pro 2 also and AirPods 4. It will listen to the language. You do have to specify the language first. You can also just go to the Translate app, and there's a live translation tab now, and that can start the mode there if you don't want to do the squeeze gesture. It's cool. Like, you'd say something in Spanish, I would say about 2 to 3 seconds later, you hear the translation in your ears. As you talk, it shows it on screen. When I listen to the YouTube channel, and as you would imagine, YouTube videos are very fast-paced, it started struggling. Like, it was translating things that didn't make sense sometimes. Like, it would kind of go back and forth. And so if you use this like in real life, you'll probably need the person to speak slowly and like take some breaks because it will struggle to keep up. But it is a really, really cool feature. I know other earbuds have had this feature in the past. It's cool that AirPods have it now, and it went to older models. So it's fun. You just snuck a note in here about asking about Apple Watch.
I just didn't know did you get an Ultra 3?
I did.
Dude.
I'm wearing it right now.
Okay. All I really wanted to say about it is I'm not upgrading this year because why would I upgrade to an Apple Watch 3 that has a worse, like I actually use the blood oxygen sensor on my Apple Watch 2, which has the OG Apple blood oxygen sensor. And I just kept thinking about it because I was like, oh, listen, I have an Ultra 2, I have a Series 7, I have a Series 6, I have a Series 4, and I did all the math and I calculated like, oh, Apple will give me like $650 for this collection of old Apple Watches. I should just show up at the Apple store and be like, here's $100 plus a pile of old Apple Watches. Would you just give me an Ultra 3? And then I'm like, but I don't want to because my battery life is still at 100% on my Apple Watch Ultra 2, and I like it. I like it. I'm good with it. And I got all the new watch faces. Can you convince me that I should buy a new one?
Not really.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. Now, you probably have this conundrum sometimes because you've gotten more review units than me. I bought an Ultra 3 on pre-order day, the day of the event, because I didn't know what I was getting like review unit wise. So it's sitting in the box unopened because I was traveling, and then Apple said they send me a review unit. So this Apple Watch Ultra 3 is a review unit. And now I'm like, well, one, I could probably use this for the next year and be fine. And like,
I'm not going to talk about how long you can use it, but
no.
You'd probably be fine.
Probably fine. So like that, and also even if I send it back 6 months from now, my experience using the Ultra 3 for me personally is zero different. Like, I don't really notice the face display differences. Like, I use the modular Ultra face, and being black like as a background, I don't really notice it. I do use the reflections face sometimes, and maybe like it feels slightly bigger. I really don't notice. So for me, I would not pay to upgrade. I think I'm actually going to return the Ultra 3 that I bought, and I'll switch back to the Ultra 2 when I send this back. But I want to test the satellite thing because that's the one standout feature is like if you go hiking a bunch or you go camping, I want to see how that works, how well it works. And once I make that video, I'll probably just go back to the Ultra 2. Like it's fine.
I did literally just unbox the Series 11 that they sent me. I had not taken it out of the box yet. It's not even set up yet. Hold your phone up. Let's see if we can get it to pair with.
Yeah. Oh.
That'd be amazing. Can you hold your phone up and see if it'll do it? Okay, probably not. But
because it needs to detect a phone.
I know it was a joke, but anyway, I wanted to just say that this is the space black color, which is not.
No,
it's very light. It is the space black or space gray color. Sorry.
Yeah, space gray. I was gonna say.
It's a space gray color.
Yeah.
But it is like so much prettier than the polished black from last year, which just felt like a plasticky thing.
Yeah.
So.
And it's apparently the 11 is slightly thinner than the 10.
Yeah, I may try this one out for just a little while.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
Sure.
I may since they were nice enough to send it to me and see what I think about it. But
yeah,
I just that's all I want to say about the Ultra 3. It's amazing. If you didn't have one and you were thinking, like, go get it. But I think if you have a 2 and if you have a 1, unless your battery life is really hurting, I think I would probably pass.
And that's the thing about the Ultra. Like my Ultra 2 battery is still great. So
yeah.
Yeah, like yours. So anyway. All right, so that's all that. We'll let us know if you have questions. Leave us voicemails this week. I'll remember to put the link in the show notes. It'll be the top link. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know if you have the Air and you love it and the camera and battery has been great for you. We want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from the trolls on Threads and X. I want to hear from you, our listeners and viewers. Leave us a voicemail so we can play it on next week's show. So lightning round real quick. I do want to mention iOS 26.1. The first beta already came out. Apple Intelligence is now in more languages. AirPods live translation will be in more languages when it comes out, so that what I was just talking about, live translation, it will have Japanese, Korean, Italian, and Chinese, both Mandarin traditional and simplified. So more languages for live translation coming in 26.1. And Jason's favorite feature, liquid glass, will now be used for the numbers on the phone keypad.
Good thing I don't make phone calls.
That's what I was going to say. Literally going to use the voice assistant, like call 813. No, just
I never make phone calls. It's fine.
Same. Yeah, I don't either. So yeah, that's 26.1. Disney announced after, as Jason's article says, a week of controversy, Disney Plus is getting a price hike. Masterclass and poor timing.
Not great timing. Well, the take I made on this was like, okay, there's one of two reasons that Disney did this, and then neither of them are good, and the timing's even worse. They either did it because they had to, because they're losing money on a streaming service, which is generally true of most streaming services, is that they're very, 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 very expensive. which is not a great thing. Like if you have to raise prices on your customers because you're not making enough money on the streaming service, or they did it because they can. And that's not great either because Disney thinks they have enough leverage because they own basically everything, Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, Fox, like everything, National Geographic, whatever. And so they just figured, well, we can. And so my point was just like, in a week when things were this bad for Disney, this was like kind of like a punch in the gut.
Yeah, not great timing.
Especially because people were like essentially like before this happened, a lot of people were canceling their subscriptions. It just got a lot easier for a lot more people to cancel their subscriptions.
Yeah, that. Also, there was finally a TikTok deal signed. And
he's expected to sign
to sign it today as we record. But it is, again, if he signs this, if President Donald Trump signs this deal, ByteDance will have to divest most of TikTok. After this deal, it will hold less than 20% of the stock of the new company that is formed. And I think some of the other investors were like Oracle and things like that. Yes,
and Rupert Murdoch, who owns like Fox News and stuff that. In the Wall Street Journal, I don't understand. Like, we don't have time to get into this, and that's fine.
Yeah.
What is Trump signing? Is Trump buying TikTok? Like, I don't understand what it means when Trump is signing a deal for TikTok. Like, it
won't be banned, even though it hasn't been banned, I guess.
But it's saying he's going to sign a deal to facilitate the sale. You don't actually need the president of the United States to sign for one company to buy another or for investors to take ownership. Like, it's also weird. Like, why is... I could understand that the president and the administration might be involved in the negotiations since it involves like China.
Right.
I don't understand. I don't know what's happening.
I'll be honest, I don't either. But the ban never really happened, so there you go.
That's true.
Instagram hit 3 billion users. Mark Zuckerberg posted on Threads about this. And driving the growth is short-form video and Reels, which is why the Instagram iPad app that we talked about a few weeks ago defaults to Reels and will likely be the experience in the future for Instagram. But
yeah, and I have one small thing on this. I sent you a screenshot of the 1.7 million views on that Threads post.
Yes.
And if you look at that, you will see that it says something like 90% of those views came from Instagram. And it just occurred to me that like, oh, they're just turning dials. They're turning dials everywhere because most of my Threads views came from Instagram.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. I've also...
That means that people saw this in their Instagram feed and tapped on it. Well, yes. I don't even know if it means they tapped on it, but I assume it means that they tapped on it and they came over and saw the post there.
I had that section in my Instagram home tab where like one scroll down and it would be like a horizontal row of Threads posts, and I chose to hide that. But by default, like it's there, and it'll probably come back, I imagine. Like, as with anything, that if Instagram or Meta is pushing it, it's like it's not going to go away. But that is wild. I've never seen something that 90% of those views. Wow. Okay.
Also, like I've never had a Threads post with 1.7 million views. I've had a lot of things, not a lot. I've had plenty of things I've written that have exceeded that, but it is weird for me to be one Threads post to be like my 7th most viewed piece of writing. I would have thought about it a little bit more is all I'm trying to say.
You never know. You never know when it's going to hit. It's lightning striking. Apple chose to cancel the release of a new Apple TV Plus show that was set to launch this Friday, The Savant, starring Jessica Chastain. And basically, there's not been like an official statement, I don't think. But basically because of, Charlie Kirk and other recent events here in the United States, Apple chose, I guess the topic of the show was going to touch on that. And so Apple chose to not necessarily cancel it. They might release it at a later date, but it is not airing this Friday. And I thought it was interesting, Jessica Chastain, who's going to star in the show, actually had a lengthy statement. She posted it on her Instagram saying that she did not agree with Apple on not airing it this Friday. She thought that the topic was apropos and might have been important or beneficial to actually release the show and talk about it in that kind of context. And she said the Savant is about the heroes who work every day to stop violence before it happens, and honoring their courage feels more urgent than ever. I don't know of a lot. I feel like Seth Rogen. Is it Seth Rogen who did the studio?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. I feel like he and now Jessica Chastain are like two people that have kind of outwardly spoken about Apple. And Seth Rogen not as contrary as Jessica Chastain did in this post, but him more so of like what it is to work like with them and what they said no to and stuff like that. And Jon Stewart has also said things like that, where, you know, he had an Apple TV Plus original show for sometimes, and he has said in some interviews like, I wanted to do this, and Apple TV said no, or Apple said you can't have this guest. And that's probably one of the reasons why that Jon Stewart show was like he left. Because
it was about China, right? I think it was about China, like the Jon Stewart thing. Yeah.
He was interviewing someone, and I forget what position she was in, but he was saying like Apple wouldn't let you have me on the show. Let me have you on the show when I was on their network. So I think it's interesting Jessica Chastain actually speaking out about this. And again, like curious, obviously Apple has always been averse to being like in the not the controversial topics. It's tried to avoid things like that. And the other show that might have been seen as controversial, Tehran, which I actually watched the first 2 seasons of it, and my wife and I enjoyed it. That 3rd season has not aired yet because of some of the situations going on in the Middle East, although apparently it did air in Israel last December. And so I thought that was interesting that it was released there but not worldwide. So anyway, interesting choices from Apple there. And I need your help explaining. Apple also had a statement about the DMA. So tell me, what happened here?
Well, okay, so they published a press release, I believe yesterday evening, that they are basically suggesting it should be repealed, which, no shocker, Apple thinks that the DMA should be repealed. The DMA like establishes certain regulations on companies that it considers gatekeepers, and it defines those by different things. And you'll remember the App Store is a gatekeeper, but the iPad is not. Like, it's weird. It's like a guy sits in a room with a bunch of people and they're like, yep, that one. Let's do something about that one, right? And so it requires Apple to make available certain features and capabilities to third parties, right? And it requires, so like, for example, iMessage or different, Apple Intelligence, or in this case, the Apple's press release was talking about like the live translation feature, which is not available because they'd have to make that feature available. Like if you pair your AirPods with a Pixel, like, which is just not possible, right? You just can't, like, because it's running on an iPhone.
Well, but you can pair them via Bluetooth.
You can pair them, but you can't have live translation when you use the AirPods Pro 3 with a Pixel or a Samsung phone. Right. And so Apple just went through like a series of things that are like, this is holding up these features in Europe because we can't do this. We can't make these things possible there. And Apple so iPhone mirroring is another one. If you're using a Windows PC, right, or a Chromebook, you can't mirror your iPhone. Like, it kind of makes sense to everyone except for the people that made the DMA. Same thing's true with, they pointed out, maps. Apple would have to allow your precise location data to be shared with, for example, Google or Waze or whatever, in order for them to have that kind of same feature. And Apple's just like says it's not willing to do that kind of thing. And they're saying like we're spending thousands of hours of engineering time to try to make these things compliant, but we can't release these features in the EU because of the DMA. And one of the points that I made is Apple, first of all, like, there are definitely conflicts of interest here because Apple certainly loves keeping everybody locked into its system. So like, let's acknowledge that it's been very good for business for Apple to be able to set all of the terms no matter what. But also, if those Apple engineers are actually spending thousands of hours trying to make features compliant with the DMA, no wonder Siri still stinks. Right? How much better could some of this stuff be if they didn't have to spend all of that time? And so, listen, to our friends in Europe who listen to the show, I am so thankful for you. The DMA is stupid. It just is, right? Like, that doesn't mean Apple is completely right. I want to be clear about that. I'm not suggesting that the way Apple has run certain things is like the pinnacle of business, whatever, but the DMA is not the solution. So in this case, I agree that the DMA is causing more harm than good.
Do you think as a whole, sideloading or third-party app marketplaces should be allowed?
That's a harder question to answer. Let me go back to this one. The EU is why we have a USB-C port on the iPhone. Should we have a USB-C port on the iPhone? Yes. Should we have it because a government was like, you have to do this? No. That's like the differentiation I would make.
Sure.
So I think that as far as sideloading, I don't think that it's sort of a weird thing. It's not a big enough issue that Apple should be protesting quite as much as it is. It's also not a big enough issue that the EU should be requiring it.
Right. But so I mean, do you think it would be like better, or like should Apple, apart from government intervention, allow that?
I think nope. I don't think that side loading should be allowed. And here's the thing: what I think should have happened instead is Apple should have like had a reality check about the App Store a long time ago, and then no one would care, right?
That's
Apple has
fair.
put itself in this situation because think about it: the only reason that I don't want to overgeneralize here. My sense is
A majority
the
of developers.
My sense is that the only reason developers care about this is because it would allow them a better opportunity to provide apps to users without being beholden to Apple's terms. Okay. Although
Mainly the money cut.
100%. Yeah. Well, 30%, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. The money part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Apple should have seen that this was the only logical outcome. And I just think if it would have treated developers better in some ways, and I'm not saying that it's treated developers terribly, but I'm saying that this has clearly been an issue. And had it been willing to come up with a different compromise, I don't think we would be here. It's sort of like this is like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Like this is like that is what's happening here. And so I've written many times, I am on record saying like, no, I think that this is bad, but I also think Apple should have handled it much differently, and we would have never gotten here, because if they would have just done whatever it took to keep developers really, really happy over the last decade, I don't think this would have happened, because I mean, the DMA is like Spotify. Like that's where this came from. It came from Spotify.
Yes.
And look, Spotify makes a very good point. When Apple introduced Apple Music as a subscription, it was $3 cheaper than Spotify. Literally, Apple was like, haha, we don't have to pay the commission and you do, so we can offer the subscription cheaper. Come on. That's how we got here.
Right. I would have to develop more thoughts before I share a bunch, but
You know me, I don't develop them. I just say them.
no. but they're from years of writing about it and thinking about it, which I've obviously thought about it. I mean, my only thing is, if a world existed where you could sideload apps, and an app like Audio Hijack could then release an iPad app that gave you powerful features that Apple is not building into the operating system, I feel like that would be a better experience, a better thing for users. Like I might have been able to use iPad for more podcasting over the years if I had that tool. And because it would probably use APIs or whatever that Apple doesn't approve of, or function in ways that Apple approves, it wouldn't be allowed in the App Store. And so maybe sideloading would have allowed for that, or Apple could have just changed how it approves certain apps like that, like you have on the Mac, where you can have trusted developers that you can download directly from their website, and you can have developers who are still not trusted, and then you have that system of checks outside of App Store approval and things like that. But I also don't think Apple will ever allow sideloading or that stuff like that without something forcing their hand. I don't know if that's good or not. I'm just saying that's my only thought.
Well, and I think I have just two last thoughts on this. One, Apple's never going to do something that the final outcome could be an article somewhere saying, 12 million people were like scammed, or 3 billion users' credit cards were leaked. Like, think about it. Apple has more credit cards on file than I think basically anybody.
Yeah.
And have you ever heard of a significant breach of that? Like, I haven't. They've managed to protect that. And the only thing I would say to your argument about using Audio Hijack on the iPad is Apple will be like, we make a lot of things you can run Audio Hijack on and do that. Just because you have an edge case doesn't mean they should change the entire platform. That would be the same as saying it would be really nice if instead of using the Mac Mini I have in a closet somewhere, I could use an iPad as a Plex server. Like, no, you just can't. Like, it's just not the device for that. There are other devices for it, and that you like the Mac. You have the Mac. You can do anything on the Mac. You can do fewer things on the iPad. You can do even fewer things on the iPhone. I think it would be like cool, but I don't think that Apple is necessarily wrong because they have some of the restrictions.
No, I guess I wouldn't say they're wrong, but it is clear that they see those use cases and will eventually edge features towards them. Like you can select your microphone input for the first time on iPad and iPhone this year with iOS 26. And so it's like, there's just a little bit of, not contradiction, but it's like, all right, well, we won't let Audio Hijack run on these platforms, but we know you want to do this, and you've been able to connect a USB mic to iPad for years, and it actually works. So it is something we kind of allow. So we'll give you that mic input thing, but you can't choose your audio output. We don't have that feature.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff where it's like, meh. Anyway, we have some bonus content to get to. We need to do a Jimmy Kimmel Redux because he's back on the air. But before we do, I'm actually going to pull one of your personal tech topics.
What?
Camera control.
Okay.
Camera control, because I ignored it for the last year. It's only been out a year, right? It only came out with the 16.
Correct.
Yeah. So I ignored it, but I wanted to reclaim a spot on my home screen, and the camera app had been sitting there for years. Also, can I just share a bug? The iPhone 17 Pro Max, like, I'm dragging the brightness slider up and down. That's all the way down. The brightness is not changing.
Yeah, you gotta restart your phone, dude.
Why
that's
do
my
I have
answer
to
to
restart
everything.
a brand new phone? Anyway,
That
what's
is my answer
system
to
data?
everything.
Why is it taking up 40 gigabytes? Sorry, I'm channeling all the trolls.
You're channeling everything. Like, why is this doing this? So,
Anyway, I would lower my brightness so you could actually see my home screen. But I took the camera icon off a couple months ago, and now I do use camera control. I don't use the half touch and swipes. It is just a camera launcher, and then I actually use the on-screen shutter button to take the picture. I don't know why.
Really?
I still haven't moved to actually like pressing the camera control because I don't know. It's like less friction. I don't know. I trust.
Hold on. If
Yeah.
I put my phone like Steven, I feel like we're having an Apple Pencil moment again.
This might be.
If I grab my phone, this is what I do every day, a bunch of times, because I don't have 3 children, I have 4, and they all do sports.
Trying to correct.
Every day I have multiple cross country meets and soccer games, and so I am like, not only am I a tech columnist, I am like so I think about technology that way. I'm also just a dad, and so I spend a lot of time doing this. The number of times I literally do this, boom. And boom, I took a picture. Boom, I took a picture. The cameras are like, why would I? It takes way more friction than to have to move my hand to tap that button. I'm just firing away, and I have turned off the feature where you can like short press. Like,
Yeah, I tried
that is dead to me, and it has been
Yes.
dead to me the entire time.
Yes.
I'm using it as a camera action button, which you could use the action button before to like launch the camera and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but
you
you
can still
haven't-
do it.
You
But
can't do
you-
anything else with the camera button, so use that as the
No,
camera.
right. I'm saying like
Yeah.
before we had the camera control, we had the action button, and that's what we were doing with it. Now I just use it for that. The only reason I put it on there is I heard so many people saying that they think that the camera control is going to go away because people must not be using it. And I'm like, honestly, remember when people were talking about Apple? Remember that the iPhone battery case for like the 11 that had the button on it, and it was the best iPhone battery case ever because you got a shutter button, and now they literally put a shutter button on the phone, and people are like, I mean, I don't know anybody who uses this. I'm like, it's the only way I use the camera, Steven. I don't do the swipe over. I don't do anything. I hold my phone like this. I push it once. My camera has launched. And now I'm just taking pictures of me and Steven here looking at each other. Like constantly.
So here's where I might need to change my habit a second time. So my habit is I'm holding my phone. I'm using it or whatever. I want to take a picture. I will launch the camera button. And then when I shift my grip, my thumb is on the digital shutter button. So I've launched the camera with my thumb. And then I use my thumb to take the picture with the on-screen button because I'm not used to this yet.
Steven, your kids don't move as fast as mine then, because I don't have time for that, man. If I'm taking, like, seriously, like, so like we have a daughter who plays soccer. She's a senior this year. She's going to be playing somewhere at college next year. And so I'm constantly taking highlight videos. And when someone's moving around with a soccer ball, I don't have a lot of time to be doing that jujitsu that you just did with your thumb and your finger and your camera and your whatever. I am literally just, doesn't matter. I can do it this way too. See this finger right here? It's just hitting it. It's just taking pictures. Like, I am so good at grabbing that thing right there, putting my finger right on top of it. If I was going to take a portrait one, I would just use my thumb. I hold the camera and I just take pictures with it. So,
well, that's it. Yeah. Anyway, I'll try to adjust yet again to doing this with my pointer finger.
But don't even don't move your hand. Just hold it. Like, I literally this is how I'm holding it anyway. Oh, Apple Watch. Do you want to pair with this Apple Watch? Nope, not right now. It finally did it, Steven. I don't even know where that Apple Watch went. Anyway,
I'm using camera control. All right, at least be happy with that.
I am. But my question, this is a question for our viewers. Camera control, yes or no? Leave us a 5-star review and tell me yes or no. I use the camera control.
And I want to know, when you say that, leave us a 5-star rating review in Apple Podcasts. We're getting close to 400 ratings. If you launch camera with camera control, do you use camera control to take the picture, or do you use the digital button, the touch button on screen? That's what I want to know. That's all. Can you start a video with the camera control?
Yeah. So if you have remember settings, right? If you use in the camera, you can have it remember settings. And I know this because that's what I'm doing at soccer games is taking videos. And so you take a video and then I close the camera app, whatever. The next time I hit it, it goes right into video mode and I hit it and it takes a video.
Okay. Well, anyway, let us know. Camera Control, leave us a 5-star rating and review. Also, if you want to go listen to our bonus episode and you're not a member yet, you can support us directly on Apple Podcasts, $5 a month, $50 a year, or at join.primarytech.fm. If you do it there on Memberful, join.primarytech.fm, you get chapters in the episode. You get an ad-free version of the episode. You get the unedited feed. You get the bonus episodes. You get the Primary Tech Daily Show. And who knows what other benefits might come. We don't even know. So support the show. We appreciate those who do. You can also watch us on YouTube. More and more actually watching on YouTube. We're close to 3,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which is awesome. So if you haven't yet, just go subscribe over there. Even if you like listening more, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us hit 3,000 over there. And we're going to go record a bonus episode now. We'd love to have you listen as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.